Welcome to So What's It Actually About? I'm your host, Margie McKechnie, and I, along with my wide array of guests, hope to help you better understand and weather the wonderful world of actuarial science. Hello, and welcome to today's episode. We are joined by Pieter, who is my colleague at UCT and a lecturer here. He is also the man that hired me, so I'm very grateful for him. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Morgie, and thank you for having me on your podcast.
Not at all. So standard question, can you tell me about your actuarial journey, why actuarial science, and sort of we'll go from there.
Okay, I can. On the surface, I think it will seem like a very boring journey, but I like that analogy of a duck in a pond. Seems very calm on the surface, but underneath the short little legs paddling like crazy. So yeah, I did quite well in school.
Really?
Ended up in the actuarial science class, spent my 4 years at university, wrote a few board exams, and then qualified as an actuary. So that's the boring surface level.
That's like the executive summary.
But actually, my journey was characterized by a lot of doubts and uncertainty. And I had a very love-hate relationship with actuarial science. So at the end of every single year, I wanted to change to something else.
Really? At the single year?
But eventually, I just stuck with it. So at the end of first year, I was like, I really did not enjoy stats. And then
Fair enough.
Didn't meet the requirements. So like just made them. And I was like, do I want to do 3 more years of stats? And so I seriously considered writing the accounting entrance exam at the end of the day. And decided, no, I'd rather have a holiday and then give stats 1 more year.
That sounds on brand to you.
Then after second year, I was like, wow, I really do not like stats.
Like, I shouldn't have taken that holiday. I should have been an accountant.
And then I was like, economics sounds fun. So let me sleep on it over the holiday again. And then I was like, no, let me give it 1 more. At the end of third year, I was like, now I'm really tired of stats. I want to take the gap year.
Fair enough.
And yeah, again, January month was like, no, let me just go back and finish the honors.
So basically what you're saying is whenever you're in doubt, take a holiday and then you'll be fine. That's what I'm picking up here.
Yeah. I'm a very, very big proponent of holidays. Yeah, like as many holidays as often as you can. It's being at university, so
yeah. I hear you.
And then honors year was my most fun year. I
should not be honored.
Loved honors. It just felt like things started coming together. We did RM, and everyone was complaining about it. Like, where's the maths? Where's the stats? And I was like, wow, I love this.
Oh, it's exactly the same.
Yeah, and then I decided I'm going to stick with this. And then see the course thing.
And so, okay, so you've done that's still 4 years, and then you specialized in health, right? So, what F100s did you do, and then why did you choose healthcare as your F200?
So in honors year, when we did RM, healthcare was the one missing speciality.
Okay.
That wasn't covered in the syllabus yet. There was no healthcare chapter like we have today.
Really?
So it was something that was always just mentioned in passing.
Yeah.
And I was very curious about it. And it was at that stage offered at UCT as F100 course. And I was like, okay, I did my studies at Stellenbosch. I'd like to see what it's like on the other side.
Yeah.
So I signed up.
Not that cool.
And I really, really loved it. I found it so interesting. And that was my first F100.
Okay.
And then I was like, okay, I need to do 1 more.
Okay.
I didn't want to do general because that's just stuff and working with stuff.
It's like assets, yeah.
I know, it sounds a bit boring. FinEco scarred me, so I was like, there's
no investments.
Yeah, I'm not touching investments with a 10-foot pole. And then the second one was life insurance. And it was also, it's a more people-orientated one.
Yeah.
And then you're dealing mostly with people after they did. But anyway.
Still people.
But I think, that's what I really loved about health. You can make a change to people who still alive.
Yeah.
And you can make the world and life better.
Yeah.
So I really, really enjoyed it. And after I was done with the F100s, I decided I was going to specialize in health. So do the F201.
Okay. And then tell me, I mean, obviously you moved into lecturing and you've done your master's. Why lecturing as opposed to sort of a corporate space? And then we'll talk to your master's after you've answered that.
Okay. So, yeah, while I was studying, I just enjoyed the university environment so much. And I wanted to study further, do a master's, even PhD. But my parents were like, after 4 years of us paying for you, you have to go and get a job. So I was like, okay, fine, that makes sense. I'll go to work, and I wrote the rest of my exams. And then the opportunity presented itself, and I was like 25-year-old, super excited, and didn't think I would ever get the job because not a lot of experience at 4 years.
Yeah.
Like experience, just qualified as an actuary, so like still wait behind the years. So I said, okay, let me just send in an application and see what happens.
Sure.
And actually had such a great experience meeting all the academics and talking to them about my ideas for research, why I want to become a lecturer and work with students, help students, and the rest is history. Here I am 10 years later.
Sure, but that's amazing. I think let's talk now to your research. You've finished your master's, obviously are looking to do a PhD, but can we discuss your master's? Because you did quite a different sort of take on an actuarial master's, from what I understand. Could you speak to that?
Yeah, so it was actually not very actuarial at all. I was looking at the profile and cost of end-of-life care to medical schemes in South Africa with the aim of bringing greater awareness to palliative care, the benefits.
Like close-based, step-down facilities,
yes.
etc. Okay.
And just more holistic person-based care as opposed to hospital-centric care.
Which is, I mean, very expensive, but also isn't necessarily the best setting.
Yes, and there's a lot of studies that show that quality of care at the end of life is very suboptimal. So outcomes are poor, the patients have a very poor experience.
No, it's like a lack of dignity and
lack of dignity. And in South Africa, in the medical schemes environment, the costs are borne by the scheme.
Yeah.
But in reality, for those that don't have cover or very limited types of cover, so normal health insurance type cover, it is an extremely expensive
like cost to cover. And often the family has to sub in, and it's sort of like a burden.
So that is financially devastating for a lot of people, plus suboptimal outcomes.
Yes.
So the idea was to bring in greater awareness to what palliative care is and what the benefits thereof are. And in the medical schemes environment, there is potential for significant cost side. So it's a win.
Very much so.
Win situation.
Very much so. I mean, I remember when I was in honours, we had to present seminars, and I was given a paper, and it was focusing on the last year of life, the cost in the last year of life. It was unbelievable how that sort of graph just spikes in the last year of life. And as you say, it's not necessarily increasing that quality of life. It's just sort of keeping the person alive sometimes, and not necessarily in a setting that they feel loved and supported and, a place that they want to stay in order to pass on.
Exactly. And if you take that last year of life costs, the last 3 months of life is half of the cost.
It's crazy. It's honestly crazy.
So it's exponential, just shoots the light up graph.
No, I hear you. And now pursuing your PhD, or you wanting to do something in the same space, or you wanting to do something completely different?
So I'm going to do something completely different.
On brand for you?
Yeah, I just can't make up my mind.
But it won't be in stats. It's one thing I can guarantee you, right?
No, I'll probably use some stats.
Always. Inevitably.
And you're never too old to learn.
Yeah, no. Exactly. Learn for the first time.
So before I even embarked on the master's journey, I wanted to do something in the public sector and something that benefits South Africa and our unique problems and challenges.
Yeah.
So where I started with my master's journey was I was looking at a model of employment to employ people as carers.
Oh, I see. So linked to the palliative, but as an employment model, so saying let's improve the care, but also create employment through that.
Exactly. So more informal but structured.
I hear you. So that the care is obviously at the level that it needs to be.
Yeah.
But okay, I really like that.
And then this sort of morphed into political scheme space, because that's where the rich data sits, and that's where I had access to data. And at the time, in doing my master's, I had a lot of constraints in terms of getting access to public data, the costs of acquiring such data,
and also the quality of that data, right?
Yeah, so it was a bit beyond the scope of a master's.
Yeah.
And then I realized I can add value in the palliative space using the private sector data. So still a great outcome. And now I want to sort of transition back to the public space, seeing how to actually address some of the key fundamental problems facing us. So I've been thinking a bit, so the unemployment is a big one.
Yeah.
But then it sort of morphed, and I've now moved on to South Africa's food security. That's where my thinking is lying now. So both at a national level and at a household level. So it talks about poverty, unemployment, and the hunger experience in South Africa. But given recent changes to our country and to the economy, the infrastructure issues we've been having with electricity, water security, our food security might be under threat. So we've got climate change. We realize there's a lot more floods. There is droughts in big parts of the country. So we might, in the next 20 to 50 years, sit with very serious food security problems. And trying to tease out those and making us future resilient in terms of food security is what I'm constantly looking at. And then also looking at a household level, we know there's a big proportion of households that are not food secure. I think it's at least 13% of the country.
Massive proportion.
And then a more macroeconomic environment, what can be done there to support
on a micro level
food security? And in that, we can maybe find ways to address some of the unemployment problems we have.
I hear you. Yeah.
So yeah, as you can see, that this is as broad.
It's. I think what's interesting about that, and part of the reason why I asked you to be on the podcast, is that the research that you're doing isn't something that people would naturally think is actuarial. And yet you can use your actuarial skills and problem solving and statistical skills to address these issues. And I think that's part of what I wanted to highlight. So thank you for that. But let's move now on to what you lecture, the subject that you lecture. So I've positioned this podcast as part of like the being series, and yet we're going to talk about a board exam. So it might seem a bit strange. But you are the course convener of the Beast, commonly known, or more frequently known as Actuarial Risk Management, which is sort of the big honors or fourth year level subject. Can you speak to that subject and why that's so important in that sort of actuarial subject chassis, and sort of the skills that are learned in that subject?
Okay, so I've been trying to name this subject the Beast for many years, but I think I've succeeded.
It's on the podcast.
So yes, Actuarial Risk Management, or ARM, or the Beast, is the biggest actuarial exam. And what
it's two exams, right? It's not even one.
It's one subject, 2 exams.
Yeah.
But you only have to study for it once.
Yeah, fair.
So you get 2.
Well, I mean, it depends if you pass the first time. You might have to study for it numerous times.
Yeah, and let's not go.
Sorry. Too soon.
Yeah, it might be triggering for some. But yeah, in the first 3 years of varsity, you learn a lot of maths, and you learn very theoretical stats, and the application of that.
Yeah, also I think for me it went straight through to bookkeeping. So it's still I was just like, what are you doing?
But yeah, I think up until my 4th year, until we started doing RM, I was like, I do not know what to do with all these things.
Yeah.
I can give you all the double integrals and solve a sphere, but what do I have to do with that?
Yeah, and that was exactly insane.
And we drew these crazy pictures. I'm not much of an artist, but I actually kind of enjoyed second year maths. The whole abstract nature of it. But I didn't know why we're learning these skills and what we would be doing with them. And so I was a bit lost, and that's probably why I was so uncertain about what